I don't think anybody has a crystal ball and is able to predict, but we are making sure that the worst is behind us, and obviously the rest, to some extent, we have to leave in the hands of the Almighty. I'm not currently getting into the whole scope of assessing what happened, why it happened, and what could have been done differently. As of now, almost everybody seems to have an opinion, one way or the other, of what could have been done and what should have been done. My immediate priority was to bring first the situation under control and then start helping the process of normalization, which is what we are currently doing. Subsequently, whatever introspection, either at the level of the government or self-introspection, has to be undertaken, that we'll do. Well, we haven't assessed it as yet, but some figures that I've seen and some preliminary discussions that we have peg it at around 6,000 crores. Now, it could be more, it could be less, but I think it's important to see you have, first of all, the loss of life. Then you have the economic loss. Now, the economic loss is one that over time one can try and make up. But to my mind, after the loss of life, which is the most tragic, the second most tragic loss is the loss to children's education. Because schools, colleges, universities, they all close. And the price is paid by students who wouldn't necessarily want to have anything to do with the situation. There are two things. Either you're looking at it purely as a law and order situation, which I think would be simplistic, or then you look at it as part of the overall problem of Jammu and Kashmir, which I think is more realistic. Nowhere in the protests did you see slogans being shouted against my government or against me as an individual. That's not what happened. So I think it's important that you put this, what you saw, into a wider context. And that is the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, which has been hanging fire for the last many decades. Now that requires a political handling both between India and Pakistan and also between New Delhi and the state. And clearly we're trying to push things in that direction. With all due respect to MJ Akbar, his job is to write. And oftentimes he writes from a disconnected position. I can understand him writing if he'd camped in the state for a month, traveled around, met people, seen what is happening, and then decided. MJ Akbar has a platform from which to air his views. I don't agree with them most of the time. Why should I contemplate? He's not even a voter in the state. I think that the party needs to strengthen its grassroots contact. But I have absolutely no complaints about the support I've got from the party. Family are the only people I'll get objective advice from. My father has been Chief Minister on 4 separate occasions for a long period of time. He knows the pressures of this job. He's been Chief Minister during the worst times of 96 to 2002. Clearly his advice is invaluable. An opposition party has 2 options. They can play the role of the opposition as a constructive party or as a destructive party. I regret that at this point in time, my principal opposition party has chosen to play the role of a destructive opposition party.